Meow! I'm Huples cat. Over the years I've collected many prepper books. I've been thinning them out over the last few years. So what I have now for you is my top 11 prepping books that I don't think are any good, that I still have in my collection. These are not the worst prepping books. They're the worst prepping books in my collection. Do you have any of these books? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. I enjoyed this and I probably never will throw it away. It's got lots of quite good tips. For example, boiling water to sterilise it. You then roll it back and forth using air between two containers, and that will actually make it taste better when you actually come to drink it. But overall, this won't keep me alive in the wilds. This is a fairly good example of a prepping book. How to live without electricity. Well, you live without it, or you live with it, or you live with not enough of it. I'm off grid, so I'm living without enough electricity during the fall, winter and spring months. This doesn't really help me. This is another example of one of those prepping books people get. It's actually kind of useless. I'll never make biodiesel. In any kind of long duration event, I'm not going to be driving around on the roads. And as time went on, the book itself became useless because you can use electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles now, or even bicycles with engines in that are powered by the sun. As an example of a prepping book that's actually kind of fun. British government 1957, when they still thought they could fight a nuclear war and people would live. Got lots of basic information. However, it's far too basic. This one was kind of thought-provoking in a very slight way. Would you eat your cat? Yes, I would. I'd eat you. If I was starving to death, I had no choice. Full of moral things like, is it okay to look at your own photographs? Does consent, implied consent, last over time? It's full of information like that, and if you want a book like this, it's a fun book, but it's not going to help me survive anything. I had fun with this a few years ago. I was doing a series of videos where I would pick a different one every week and do a video on it, and indeed I might return to that at some point in the future, but for now I'm not going to. But to enable me to survive? No. Okay, another fun book. It's not really a prepping book, pretends to be. It makes a big claim. If I read this, my life might depend on it. For example, how do you collect honey without getting stung to death? If you want to collect honey, whether it be wild or honeybees, you need certain equipment. This book is not that equipment. This book gives you some ideas, but again, a much bigger text on actual beekeeping would be better than this. I had difficulty selecting this. I really like this book. It's full of basic navigational skills and advanced navigational skills that I could use, and I have read this book several times and I really enjoy it. But let's be honest, unless you've been programmed with misinformation to believe the poles are about to shift and it's going to cause havoc anyway, you might really want to have something simple like this. This is called a compass. I have various compasses of various types. This is going to help me navigate. That and my large collection of area maps. For sure I'm going to use some of the principles in this, and I often do when I haven't got a compass or a map with me. Frankly, this is not actually worth it. What would be worth it would be spending the money you spent on this book, getting a much more upgraded compass and taking time to train to use it properly.
This is a Suunto M3 Global. I think this is a really good quality compass. As always, what stops this being a great compass is Suunto's very strange idea about baseplate design. The plate itself has an ergonomic end to make it more comfortable for prolonged use, and a metric and imperial rulers down the sides. Again, it's just my opinion, but I think the print quality on the plate shows a definite attention to detail and a high quality production process.
Okay, we're up to number 9. Again, I had a hard time picking this, but frankly the information of this is so basic I don't need it and didn't need it when I got the book. Also, the tips in it that are rare that actually are useful aren't really going to do much. Again, it's single-use prepping, going from A to B, and then having resupply and being looked after. It's not actually going to help me survive. Building structures, killing fish, have proper line, have proper rods, have proper experience, have proper training manuals. Getting your prepper information in 2 or 3 pages is like the same as getting your prepper information from watching 1 or 2 videos. You've got to actually get a decent text that's thick and dedicated to that particular subject, and you've got to get the right equipment and you've got to train with it. So sorry Creek, this is not going to help keep me alive. Now I got rid of almost all of my absolute garbage prepping books, but I did keep this one because it's kind of amusing to me. Are you prepared for the worst? This has a ton of fun things in it. You can spend your time filling this out, doing all of these checklists and figuring stuff out, but again, it's not really going to help you that much. There's alternative sources of information available and you probably should be accessing them. Yeah, this is okay. I haven't thrown it out basically because there's a couple of checklists in here I kind of think are amusing, and I would probably gift this to somebody who's unprepared and say, hey, now the nuclear war starts, you might want to read this and get the checklist going. Okay, so what's the 11th worst book I currently still own because I didn't throw it out, about prepping, about survival, that I don't actually feel I have a real use for? Long-term visitors to this channel will remember when I was doing a series of book reviews, and this book I dealt with harshly. Yes, it's born-again Christian, SAS survivalist Bear Grylls. This cost me $2 and I couldn't help but resist getting it, and I haven't thrown it out and I haven't recycled it. Again, the information is very basic, it's very brief, but it's not actually going to do much to help me survive. My Gerber folder, that is in fact from the Bear Grylls range that I got from Costco, is quite cheap. It's lasted me a decade now, and I'm easily able to sharpen it, and it's been a really good tool. I'll take this over everything in this if I have to survive. So have a look at your sources of information, the hard copy information. Go through them. Look through all the books and pamphlets you have. Is there anything in there that you actually don't need, or actually would be harmful, or is actually kind of useless to you in any scenario you can think of other than as toilet paper? It may have been helpful to you when you started prepping, it may have been helpful for 1 or 2 hints in it, but overall it's kind of a waste of space in your life. Thanks for watching, please feel free to subscribe. The next video in this series is actually going to look at my top 10 books that I still have that I think are the best top 10 books I have. They're not the greatest books, they are individual taste, but I will show you them. Well, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe because it validates my existence. And whatever you do, make sure your information is appropriate and useful to you wherever you are and whatever you might face. Doodles. This has been a Well Prepared Terrier 2024 production.